All right, here we go. So I am entering into speaker view and full screen, and we're going to get started. So welcome to Goal Setting Made Simple. I'm going to use a PowerPoint presentation that's going to keep us on track, and we're going to monitor the chat and make sure that there's time at the end for questions and answers. I'm Rebecca, and I'm going to show you how we can make goal setting simple. So let's make sure that this is all doing what it should. And we're going to go into present mode. Are we good to go? You can see.
We are, I can see it.
Okay. So everyone behave yourself, mute yourself if there's dogs or kids or anything in the background. My wonderful co-host Erin, wave to everybody. Erin, she's going to be monitoring and muting if anything gets a little too rowdy. And I want you to be with me fully here, focused for the next 45 minutes to an hour, okay? So turn off notifications on your phone. Do not disturb is on. We've got my undivided attention. Here we go. Say with me. I love goal setting. I love numbers. I love my calendar. You see, I haven't always been able to say these things and truly mean them. However, I'm going to teach you some of the quick, easy tools that I found that really brought clarity for me over the years. So I have a question. Are you constantly feeling behind the ball? Apologizing for being late? Feeling overwhelmed by all that needs to be done? Feeling unorganized and out of control? Feel like you're never getting anything checked off your to-do list? Anyone? Raise your hand, or your digital hand. Are you with me? We all have felt this way, and in the midst of COVID and all that we're working through right now, you are not alone. See, here's me. That's the very first commission check I ever received as a real estate agent. This was 2003. Dyslexic, ADD, no college degree, no contacts in the area, no real estate experience, sucked at math, and crazy debt. So if any of you are on this call and you're like, yeah, but Rebecca, I blank, 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 totally get it. I'm there with you, and I'm going to tell you that there are specific tools that are proven over time to help. And I resisted them for way too long. And I'm saying like 11 or 12 years, I resisted some of these tools. And I'm proud to tell you that as soon as I started to just get over myself and go, no, I have an issue. I've got to bring in some high level accountability into my world. Things started to change. So that's me. We would love to connect with referrals of any out of area agents. The next few minutes, we're going to talk about how you can focus on the top 20% and operate with purpose. We're going to talk about how you can effectively set goals and establish accountability, create your own personal 411, and then how to implement it, and then use some of the strategic tactics of time blocking. Before we do that, though, I want you to pause, and I want you to grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and I want you to think for just a few quick seconds right now. What are 5 things, as you look over the last 12 months, that you are proud of yourself about? Take a minute right now and jot down 5 things that you are proud of. What are 5 things that you've done this year that you're proud of? Go ahead and jot down at least 5 things. Keep going if you have more. Okay, now of those 5, which one are you most proud of? So of the 5 things that you've jotted down, which one are you most proud of? And I'd like you to drop that in the chat box, and I want to see what's going on in your world right now. So what are 5 things, and then what's the one thing? If there's one thing, and then drop it in the chat right now. What's that one thing? You got a new job. Way to go, Erica. You switched to KW. Welcome, Dominique. I love it. I got my real estate license, Christy. Paid off all my debt. Tasha, way to go. That's huge. Oh, that is such a relief. Angelina Bell, choosing fear over faith. Yes, you did. And you moved to Texas. When did we meet in physical form? Was it February? A lot has happened in a short amount of time. You took your first listing during COVID, Patty. Way to go. Bringing my husband home, meaning he's doing real estate with you now and all the other little things that you ask him to do. I like that, Melanie. I love it. Thanks for sharing. Okay. We're going to keep going. So why is it important to reflect? And then why is it important to put goals in writing? Well, it's because not everything holds equal importance. There's a tool that the most accomplished have used, and it's totally free. I'm going to share it with you today. And ultimately, what you're going to find is that there are patterns. People have gone before us, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to look at the people who are most productive and doing the things that we want to be doing and have the things that we want to have, and then ask ourselves, what is it that they're doing? What is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level versus those who don't? And there's 6 things. They're called the keys to abundance. That's a separate class. We'll talk about that at the end. And there's a tool that is proven to work. So we're going to share that as we keep going today. All right, so let's gain some perspective. The rubber ball story. So as we think about the different balls in our life that we're juggling on the screen, we have our spiritual life, we have our physical health, we have our personal life, we have key relationships, job, business, and finance. And imagine that I'm juggling all these different balls. However, if I just all of a sudden threw my hands up in the air and all of the balls dropped to the ground, there are a few that could potentially be rubber balls that are going to bounce back. There are a few that are not rubber, they're glass. And the second that I release them and they fall to the ground, they're going to crash. One of them could be my health. Another one could be key relationships, friendships, marriages, partnerships. You see, the thing is that many times we prioritize the wrong things. And during this session today, we're going to talk about how to truly live out our mission and our vision and our value, which is God, family, then business. Your spiritual life at the top, your family, your physical health, what's important to you here, and then your business and your finances. And the question ultimately is, what's the one thing I can do that such by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary? So with your pen, I want you to write this down. My perfect day. Write that down. My perfect day. And after our time together, I want you to go and script. They call it future casting. I want you to take time and describe it. Think about, what does your perfect day look like? Who are you with? How do you feel when you wake up? What are you doing? What was your schedule like? What were you saying? What were you thinking? What kind of activities were you involved in? Because the reality is, the more that we go and do the things that bring us joy and energy, the more productive we'll be in our business. I mean, it truly is like that book I read years and years ago. It was probably like 1999 or maybe 2000. It's called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. And it's true is that when you plug in, when you truly plug into the thing that you were created to do, and you surround yourself with the people and the things and the activities that just come naturally to you and that bring you joy, it's incredible what happens in your world. So an activity for later is I want you to take time and just write it out. My perfect day. Now I want you to describe my ideal client. So write that down. My ideal client. Who is my ideal client? Who are they? Describe them in detail. Think back over the last 12 months. And if I could ask each and every one of you, which I can't on this call, but if I did, and I just said, hey, Lynette, tell me about the best client you've had in the last 12 months. And Lynette goes on to explain to me, like, they were this old and they lived here and they did this. And I loved working with them because of this, 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 and this. I want you to describe your ideal client and what is it that they were doing? What is it that you were doing to help them? Where did all of that take place? And then ultimately, how amazing would it be if you could go clone that client? So call the client and say, you know, Lynette, she's going to go call that client and she'll say, you know, Sadie, I'm calling you today because I just took this class from Rebecca and she told me to call you because you're the most incredible client and I want to clone you. So I'm just curious, is there anyone you know in your family, in your circle of influence and friends or neighbors that is thinking about selling their home in the next few years? I would love to connect with them because you were such a joy to work with. I need to clone you as a client. Then you describe the ideal location. It's your territory of who and where you want to be an expert. And then you give yourself permission so that when people come and they're not within that ideal territory that you've described for 2021, you give yourself permission to refer them to other agents. Maybe there's a vacant land specialist that you could refer them to because that's just not the area of expertise that you want to specialize in. Maybe you end up saying, look, I'm not going to drive any further north than this, you know, milepost. And so then I go connect with referral partners in these areas over here so that when someone calls me and says, oh, I want to sell my house over here, you say, fabulous. In order for you to get the best care possible, let me connect you to one of my referral partners. In order to have that conversation, though, you've got to describe your ideal client. So I want you to do that. Describe your ideal client, who they are, what are they doing for fun, what are their hobbies, and then describe your territory so that then you can have those healthy boundaries so that when people do come and maybe they don't fit, you pause and go, is this worth my time? Is this worth me taking away from my family or my loved ones to go do? And sometimes the answer is yes, and other times it won't be, and that's okay because you've already planned ahead and you've connected with referral partners. Now, make a plan, and this is regarding your agent referrals. The people that come to you that are outside of your ideal service territory, you need to go and make some friends. And you want to go find and interview a few people, like they live there, they work there, how long have they lived there and worked there? You know, what do you have in common? Do you both love, you know, boating, or do you love golfing, or like what are your activities so that this person could potentially be a really good match for when you go to be matchmaker with a referral partner. Now, the last statistic I was told was 38-1. For every 38 agents that you have in your referral network, you should anticipate at least one closing in the next 12 months. So be purposeful, just like you're going and you're building your database, your book of business. You want to be just as purposeful about making friends with real estate agents outside of your ideal territory. Now, that can be within the same state. That could be outside of state. It could be out of country. And that's what's cool is you guys are a part of the world's largest referral network. And they've just launched it into the world now. So when you log into Command and go to My Referrals and then grow my network, and then all of a sudden you like look at the map, it's the entire world. And then you can zoom into specific countries and go start making friends. That's lead generation. Lead generation equals making friends. Write that down. Make more friends. Now, the other thing you could do is you could survey your database right now. Post something on social media on your business page, or send an email or a text out to everybody in your database and say, did you know that I'm a part of the world's largest referral network? I'm standing by to help with all of your real estate needs anywhere in the world. Where in the world do you have friends or family? Question mark. Post that. And then they'll start commenting and say, oh, I've got, you know, an uncle in Nebraska, or I've got a sister in Las Vegas. And your clients are going to tell you where to go to make some friends, because then you can call an agent in Vegas and go, hey, I'm calling because one of my clients just commented on my post. and their aunt lives in Vegas and she's not looking to move today, but you know what? You never know. And when the time comes, I'd love to make sure that she has a trustworthy agent in Vegas. Would you mind being my Vegas referral partner? Great. And then before I hang up, I'll say, do you know anyone? Let's brainstorm together and let's talk about what would some of the different industries, or what would the reasons be that someone would be moving from Vegas to the greater Seattle area. I'd love to interview for the job of being your Washington State referral partner. That's lead generation. Make friends. Now let's talk about your calendar for a minute. You want to front load your calendar with the most important things. And I don't know about you, when you haven't done the things that you said you were going to do, it's not a good feeling. It's not fun to say, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And so the reality is that in that uncomfortable space, we go, well, I should be doing what I said I would do. So the easiest way to do that is to front load your calendar. Front load, not just, you can front load your day. You can front load the week. You can front load the month. Like there were times when I was in a particular role and it was like, hey, I want to have 20 conversations with people about the opportunity of real estate. Well, I would always host career night on the first Monday or Tuesday of every single month, so that by the 15th of the month, I've hit the goal that I said I was going to hit. And if I haven't, it's the 15th of the month and I can still make it up before the end of the month. So front loading is a huge part of it. If you've been a part of any of the conversations recently, we're talking about the 12-week year. And that's the exact same concept, right? Is that if we go and annualize our goals, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can do that later. I can do that I can do that later in the year. I've got time. But if you bring a sense of urgency to the most important activities, watch what happens. How amazing would you feel if you knocked out 2 listing appointments on a Monday before 12? Like, how much of a rock star realtor would you feel like? So the whole point is look at your calendar and make sure that you're front loading the most important activities. And that also includes your family time, your vacation time, your time to unplug and just be. Setting boundaries and expectations up front. Love and Logic breakfast example. Well, this is no different. Like, I know Stephanie's got kids, so I can see her smiling face right now. And, it'd be no different than going to the boys and saying, would you like waffles for breakfast? Would you like Cheerios? Would you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Or would you like some bacon? When you give people way too many options, you confuse them. And so as leaders in the industry, people are coming to us and expecting us to make things easy for them. We want our clients to see the big fat red easy button on our foreheads, that they know if they come and just reach out to us, that we're going to help them through all of their real estate transactions. So when it comes to setting expectations, you want to do that up front with buyers and sellers. You want to be able to say, hey, what is your work schedule? When's the best time to reach out and communicate with you? And how do you prefer to communicate? Do you prefer text or email? Between what hours of the day? Do you prefer that I call this person or that person? Who's going to be the go-to? Ask permission. Then once you've done that, then you explain what your expectations are. Well, here's the best way to communicate with me. I prefer email or a phone call. Text sometimes gets lost in translation. So you set the expectations right from the very beginning with your clients. Same goes for, like, if you sit down with a buyer and you say, hey, Mr. Buyer, what's your work schedule? When will you be available to go look at homes? And then they tell you and you go, okay, great. Well, if at any point along the way, I'm not available to show you a home, there will be someone qualified that I have personally chosen to show up and open the door for you. So just know that if any point along the way, especially in this market, things are moving so quickly, if I'm not physically able to be there, someone that I trust will be. So you're setting expectations that you may not always be the only person that's opening doors for them. Now, when it comes to real estate specifically, there is a survival number. Do you know your survival number? What is the minimum amount of homes you need to sell in order to be able to survive? Then, once you hit that number, you want to calculate how much money is coming in, how much has to be put aside for taxes, and then you've got this magical document that you want to fill out, which is what we call the allocation form. And that's where you start to dream, so that once your survival number is met and now you've got this extra, you're going to start investing in real estate. You're going to pay off debt. You're going to remodel the kitchen. You're going to buy, a new car. You're going to do the things that you want to do. And so that you're showing your brain why it's not just okay to settle for mediocre and survive in real estate, but to thrive, you've got to get past that survival number. So at the end of this call, remind me, and I will upload the allocation form so that you can do this activity later. Now let's get into it. I'm going to upload one of my favorite activities, and that is called the Kick-Ass Guide to Goal Setting. And this has been my saving grace. All throughout COVID, I've struggled. My mindset is like a roller coaster up and down. There are times where it's just like moment by moment. I want to go crawl back into that bed right there. That's my side right there. See my pillow. And I just want to call it a day. And it's like, no, I got to keep showing up. And this has been one of the best tools, and I'm going to upload and share it with you. And if you take the time, and I would reiterate, okay, pay attention. Don't just flip through this. Print it out and then take the time to actually read it. Because one of the tips that's in here, it talks about a couple of specific apps and tools that I've started using that have absolutely been life-changing. So don't just flip through and be like, yeah. Like, actually take the time and read it. It's got so much goodness in it. So we'll be uploading that and sharing it with people. And then this is the allocation form. And I mean, every year we do this. We do just print it off and then write it out. And we'll be sharing that with you guys as well, so that you've got the tool. Now on the screen is the one pager. This is the 411, 4 weeks in 1 month, and then 12 months in a year. So you take your annual goals, the things that you want to accomplish both personally and in business, and then you break it down into monthly, and then you break it down into what is it that I need to do this week in order to hit my goals. Then, once you have in mind what your perfect day looks like, who your ideal client is, what is it that you actually want to accomplish, and you start putting it on your 411, one of the things that I found very, very motivating is to be able to engage both the left side and the right side of your brain by attaching pictures and images to the things that you want to achieve. So it may be, I want to increase my average sale price to 400,000. Or, one, you have to look at what your average sale price is currently. And we have a multi-year trends report that we can look up and tell you quickly. And then you want it to be a realistic and smart goal, so that you could go, okay, it's going to increase by this much. And then you actually write out the number 400,000, slap it onto the front of a house that is kind of calling your name, then put it onto the vision board, so that it's engaging both the right side and the left side of your brain. And you're being very specific on your vision board about what it is that you desire. When you're setting goals, they can't be vague. Like, this isn't the time to be wishy-washy about your dreams. It's time to be so specific that you can actually close your eyes and smell it and feel it. And it's like literally it is happening, and you're watching a movie right before your very eyes. That's when the power of a vision board just kind of, you take it to the next level. And so when you're setting goals, they need to be SMART goals. So write that down. This is an acronym. SMART. SMART goals. Specific is the S. So you don't just say, oh, I want to sell more homes. More, not specific. I want to sell 10 more homes next year. Great. Specific. Measurable. Is it measurable? Which means you probably have to put some sort of a metric to it. Like you've got to have a number, or you've got an increase by this percentage, or it's got to be measurable. It's got to be actionable. You got to actually be able to go and like do something about it. It's got to be realistic. R is realistic. So we have SMART: specific, measurable, actionable. R is realistic. So I can't say, oh, I've sold, 12 homes this year and next year I'm going to sell 120. Is that realistic? Has it been done? It might have been done. However, for you personally, you've got to look and make sure the goals you're setting are realistic. And they need to be time bound. So I want to sell this many homes no later than December 31st, 2021. I want to change the lives of 100 people by including them in my worldwide vision of growth share and profit share at Keller Williams, no later than December 31st, 2021. So as soon as you start activating and being so specific that it's actionable, that it's time bound, that it's realistic, and that it's so specific that then when we meet in a year from now, I can say, did you do this? You could say, absolutely, I did this, and then check it off on your vision board. So that's SMART goals. Now the next line says, show someone and be accountable. It's not enough to write it out in your own journal. It's not enough to write it out in your own journal and then tell your partner or spouse. It's not enough to be able to do all those things. You need to be accountable by multiple people in all the different categories of your life. You could have a spiritual coach. You could have a physical coach. You could have a job coach. You could have key relationship coach. You want to have people that are peer partners as well as coaches in your life in every single category that you're wanting to grow in. Otherwise, we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Now, the 411 tool is most impactful when you use it on a weekly basis. And that's why it's broken out into the 4 weeks. You only fill out that 1 week at a time so that when we meet next week, I say, did you do this thing that you said? And you go yes or no. And then okay, do you want to do it again this next week? Move it to the next week. And so you're only filling it out 1 week at a time. So I have a question for you. I want you to grab your pen and I want you to write down how many income streams do you currently have? So if you were to open your bank account right now, how many different income streams do you have right now that are fueling or flowing into your bank account right now? So write that number down. Now, statistics tell us that the wealthiest in the world have at least 7 income streams. And when you're with Keller Williams, you've got 4. You've heard me share them before. I'll touch on them real quick in just a minute. However, what I want you to do is I want you to be specific about how many income streams do you want to have by the end of 2021. Write that number down. Okay. So to be purposeful about something, you've got to write it down and you've got to kind of revisit these numbers over and over again and just kind of keep it at the forefront of your mind. How many people have gone to a class and they talked about profit share and you were super fired up and excited? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, sign me up. I want to do that. And then no sooner do we get off the call, get out of that meeting, the phone rings, we look at our email, we look at the inbox. And if I was to meet you the next day and be like, have you thought about profit share? And you'd be like, nope, I haven't at all. And that's the reality, right? Is that our lives move so quickly that we have the best intentions, And without accountability and without the power of writing it down and putting on a vision board, it's just a daydream. It's just a wish. And so with Keller Williams, you've got your 4 income streams. You've got your sales division. You've got your agent referral division. You've got your investment division, and you've got your profit share. So you've got 4 income streams that you can be very purposeful about, and they should be on your 411. And that was something I was thinking about as I was preparing. It's on my 411 in my annual and monthly, and it's not in my weekly. And so I want to update that for the new year, that when we're reviewing the weekly, that we're being very specific about these 4 income streams. And if we've done something, even if it was just a baby step, with my sales, it would be add someone to the sales pipeline for a potential listing. For my agent referrals, it would be that I logged into Command, clicked on my referrals, clicked grow my network, and added 5 new people to my network. For the investments, it would be that I'm getting out of debt, or I talk to the loan officer about how much I can afford, or I'm purchasing a home, or I'm previewing a property online, and I'm acting like an investor. I put the investor hat on for a minute, and I'm having a meeting with my money, and I'm looking to see what's my next investment opportunity. And then with profit share, did I add anyone to my profit share pipeline? Have I had the conversation and shared the story of Keller Williams with anyone this week? Every single week, we should be doing something, baby step, in every one of these income streams that we have available to us. Now, we're going to get to the question and answer part, and I'm going to share all the downloads or uploads that I've promised. Here's us. This is Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, and all the little red dots represent properties that we've sold. And we've got a couple of different classes coming up that we're going to drop into the chat box in just a minute. One of them is my favorite class. It's called The 6 Keys to Abundance, aka 6 Personal Perspectives. And it's the 6 things that differentiate those who achieve at a very high level versus those who don't. And so that's coming up December. I can't remember the date now. We'll drop it in the chat in just a minute. I would love to just open it up for questions, for answers, and anything that you've heard a little bit different today that is kind of, motivating you to do something a little bit different in your business or in your goal setting activities. There it is, December 4th. December 4th. From 10:30 to 12:30, we're going to meet on Zoom, and we're going to do the 6 keys to abundance. Okay, so what is one thing that we've talked about today that you could go and put action to in the next 24 hours to move your business forward? I would love to hear from anyone that wants to share. You can raise your hand, or you can drop it in the chat. Lori just started reading The 12-Week Year, a very good book. I love it, Lori. Thanks for sharing. I've got it too. And Patty says, grow referrals. Yeah, be purposeful about growing your referrals. Joey says, lead generation is making more friends. I love it. Yeah, don't overthink it. I think sometimes, it's like lead generate. We're just like, what does that even mean? Did you do something to move that person further in relationship to you? If the answer is yes, then you just lead generate it, because maybe you found something out that, they love this, or they're passionate about this charity or cause, or every time you're communicating with someone, you're deepening the relationship. I love that. Making new friends. Adding KW 4 income streams to the 411. Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm going to revamp the way my 411 looks right now. We're going to make sure that every single week that we're growing in every single one of those income streams. Be intentional, front load your calendar. Love that. Angelina's asking, what tips do you have for getting specific with your goals? So specific. So, well, Give me an example. Like, I need it, give me like a category, or Angelina, can you unmute yourself and just talk to me for a sec?
Yeah, so one of my biggest struggles is I tend to be very indecisive. And so when I'm trying to get specific, I feel like I'm kind of like bouncing around, right?
Okay.
And so it causes like anxiety over the goal that I'm going to set, or even like some fear of failure, right? Starts
Mm-hmm.
to kind of creep in. And so then I kind of can get indecisive on how do I really get like specific in those goals, because I know obviously talking about the SMART goal, the more specific the better. So what are some
Absolutely.
tips on
So I would say a
tuning
couple
into
things.
that?
Yeah. So can I lean into that a little?
Yeah, there was a
So,
lot. That was a loaded question.
okay. So one of the things is you're not going to fail. If you have learned something, there is no failure, because if you've taken that action step, so I've got to use like a specific thing. So let's pretend that it's how I'm going to grow my agent to agent referral network. Okay, so let's use this as the example so I can try to get my brain brainstorming. So I want to grow my agent to agent referral network. And if the ratio is 38-1, and I want at least, this many closings to come from that. So I've got to go in and make this many new friends in my specific agent to agent referral network every single day or every single week or whatever else. Then it's got to show up on my calendar in some shape or form. And then someone has to ask me if I did that activity. Right. And otherwise I could just say like, oh, I'm going to do this. But then if no one ever follows up with me to ask if I actually did it, then there isn't going to be anything to measure, or, that's so specifically. So I'm going to know that I won because I'm going to screenshot how many people are in that network database right now, and be able to look at it 12 months from now or monthly and see that it grew and the number hasn't changed, or the number has changed and isn't the same. So that would be like one example. But like, if you're having anxiety about, if you're worried about making the right decision or the wrong decision, the only way you're going to know is to give it a go, right? Like the only way you're going to like go do it once and then give yourself permission to pause and ask yourself, did that bring me joy? Did I enjoy this? Did other people somehow benefit from this? And if I was the only one that enjoyed it and and the feedback wasn't so positive, then that's probably just something I should be doing on my own and not really sharing with the world. But if I go do something and like the feedback is like, oh my gosh, that was amazing, and how do you do that? It's like you're in your genius. You're in that strength zone. And so I think sometimes we do activities that we're just not the greatest at. And that's a really long answer to your question, but it's like you've got to take action and let go of that fear of failure. The only way you're going to know if it's good or not for you is to go and actually do it once, and then give yourself permission to go, this isn't good, this isn't working, and I can let it go. I hope that helps. Lori says, I definitely have been overthinking lead generation terribly to the point that it overwhelms me way too much. I love the making new friends. That is not scary at all. You guys, here's the deal. If you're not doing anything at all, like in the last 24 hours, if you haven't done any lead generation activity whatsoever, and I come to you and I say, you've got to go make 20 calls right now, Joey, your brain's going to go into flipping overload and you're just be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. But if I go and say, hey, Joey, can you grab one note card and address it to one person in the next 24 hours? Can you do that? Do you have the note card handy? Does someone come to mind that you could just send a gratitude card and say, thank you so much for meeting with me, or thank you so much for being sunshine in my day? One thing. Don't overwhelm yourself. just one thing. And by tomorrow you'll be like, oh, I did 1, I could do 2. I'm an overachiever. And then 3, and then 4. And then, oh my gosh, I could sit down and knock out 5 if I wanted, or maybe 10. But don't overwhelm yourself with the lead gen, because everyone's always saying like lead gen. Well, the reality is if you weren't doing anything at all to go from 0 to 20, that's just not realistic. You've got to baby step yourself to whatever it is the goal is, in my opinion. So, oh, we struck a chord. Definitely overthinking. Yes, me too. Struggle with this too. It's hard to know where to start sometimes. So where do you start? You start when you come from contribution. When I don't know where to start and I'm just sitting here at my desk and I'm just like, I don't know what to even do right now, I go to agent referrals, or I go to business, and I go to a local, my carpet cleaner, my handyman, and I just text and I just say, hey, you know what? I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being a trustworthy handyman in my world. You always work so hard for me. I'm always looking to send more business your way. Hope you have a great day. Come from contribution, because all of a sudden me sending out that text message to that handyman makes me feel good. And so it's kind of filling up my love tank to the point where then I could go and then do the note cards or call a total stranger, because I've now kind of I've warmed up. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's how I warm up, is I come from contribution, call small local business owners, and encourage someone else. Get otherly, get out of yourself. You're selfish if you're sitting there and you're just kind of overwhelmed. So for me mentally, it's go do something for someone else right now that's going to make them feel better, because in turn I feel better, and then I can go do the things I know I need to do, which is make more friends. Okay, what else? Oh, I got an amen. Thanks. All right, any other questions? Okay, so now we're gonna upload, as promised, allocation form. Don't cheat the process. This has to happen. You gotta know where your money's at in order to know where you're going. In order to know what your survival number is, you've got to slow down and fill in the blanks of where your money is being spent. We got to hold our money accountable. So the allocation form is in the chat box. Make sure to click on that, download it, and then I'm going to share the one thing goal setting guide. And okay, thumbs up. Can you see those in our chat box? Sweet. Okay. And so any other questions? We've got just a few more minutes and then we'll wrap up. Can you hear the rain coming down? It's getting noisy here. Any other questions about anything life and real estate? No? Okay. Dominique doesn't see any links. So it's an attachment that should show up in the chat box. And if for whatever reason you don't see it there, then you can email me at least one thing that you've learned from class, and email me at rebeccad@kw.com, and then I'll reply back and attach those attachments for you. So, all right, this is it. I think this is the last class before Thanksgiving. So I can't thank you guys enough for being my friends, for Zooming with me, and for being my reason to get out of bed in the morning and to actually, you know, show up and be presentable on Zoom. It'd be much easier just to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go binge watch something today. And you guys are my reason to keep getting up. And I love working the 411. So if you want some further coaching and accountability, can you hear the rain coming down right now? All right. Happy Thanksgiving. If you want anything, as always, reach out and let me know. I love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Hey, Rebecca, you know where my office is.
Sounds good, Carol. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Take care of yourself.
All
and I love that
right.
view. It's awesome.